Malone's partner in the absence of Steve Mahon, troubled by a knee injury. Noel Lane, a substitute in last September's All-Ireland, plays at full forward with the multi-talented Joe Cooney on the 40. Parade on at the moment, as you see, behind the respective captains, and Offaly near side to us, captained there by Aidan Fogarty. And what of Offaly's lineup this afternoon? We'll just take a look at their team in a moment as they parade there in this gloriously sunny afternoon, wherever you are in Ireland and indeed abroad as well. We hope you're having a splendid day. Offaly's chief concern was the arm fracture suffered by Ger Coughlin the week after the Leinster final. Pat O'Connor is the one entrusted with the number 7 shirt. There's a recall from the outset this time for experienced Joachim Kelly, selected in midfield alongside Michael Dignan, and one positional switch in attack since Offaly's last big match. Mark Corrigan and Vincent Tehan have switched wings. Just taking a look at that team again, one of the great curiosities I think about the Offaly team is that they have 2 ex-defenders playing in attack, and they've moved an ex-attacker or forward into left half back. Rather curious. We'll see how it works. The empty terraces of Hill 16 in the background, and the GAA were telling me that they hope to have part of that open for the All-Ireland Hurling final. Perhaps they'll have 4,000 or 5,000 up there, and they'll be hoping to have maybe a little bit more of it done for the football final. Perhaps they'll have 9,000 up. Taking charge of the game, we'll see him in a minute, the referee, Joe Dooley there. Joe, very much a goal scorer in this year's championship, marked this afternoon, as you see, by Sylvie Linnane. Joe has scored 3 goals so far. Sylvie, incidentally, is bidding to reach his 7th All-Ireland final this year, and add to the medals he won last year, and of course in 1980. Midfield's going to be very interesting, I feel, as well, with Brendan Linsky in there. As you heard a little bit earlier in our panel discussion, Brendan Linsky is no stranger to midfield, having played a lot of club hurling there with Milik Aircourt. And of course, with that controversial 3-month ban quashed, now means he's eligible for an All-Star honour again, or so I assume. Joachim Kelly, I wonder, will he be the one who will be marking Brendan Linsky here? I recall him playing in the league final in 1986 alongside Steve Mahon as well, that final in Thurles on a wet day against Kilkenny. Always seem to bring the sunshine to Croke Park, don't they? Remember last year, the same weekend against Tipperary, and likewise a gloriously sunny afternoon. There's Tony Keady, vital member of a half-back line that's been together now in the championship since 1985. And the remarkable thing about the Galway half-back line, they're all still under 25. He's a flatmate of Linsky, I understand, as well. 2 characters, and I'm sure over the breakfast table discussing hurling. Pat Malone, who had a very good All-Ireland final last year. Agus Anish, Aron the Vian, the national anthem. Top of the right, Ian O'Ryan top of the left, Anthony Cunningham right half forward, and there's speculation that Cunningham might even play as a 3rd midfielder for Galway, an old ploy of course for them. So a place against Tip at stake. John Moore says wait lads, and there it is. Brendan Linsky straight into the attack for Galway, releasing it to Joe Cooney, waited, getting it on his left hand side, turning, finding space outside with Martin Naughton, low in towards Noel Lane, and wide. And you'll recall Martin Naughton got himself a goal in the opening stages of last year's final, or last year's semi-final against Tipperary. Noel Lane, the leader of the attack. Jim Troy. Look out well Corrigan losing the helmet, it breaks down towards Joachim Kelly, and another wide. So one at each end. Still scoreless in the All-Ireland semi-final. John Commons, 22-year-old, who scored a goal from a penalty in 1986 in the final and kept a blank sheet in last year's final. Nick Coughlin lets it drop over his head. Here's Cunningham, dangerously inside. Oh, how did that one stay out of the goal? Somehow it comes out to Ian O'Ryan, released towards Martin Naughton on the right-hand side, in towards Noel Lane. Galway searching, scoring. Persistent power and pressure from the Galway forward line produces the opening score. That marvellous shot across the face of the goal tapped out, I think, to Ian O'Ryan, who had the presence of mind to see that there was support from Martin Naughton. Played it in smartly towards Noel Lane. Good delivery, good catch, and a good finish. Linsky was in the thick of the action back there around the left half-back position, and a sideline ball for Offaly. Great-hearted Brendan Linsky. Brendan Keeshan then has come across. A player who's been known to put the ball over the bar even from sideline pucks. Did it in the Leinster final. Swan dropped in towards Eugene Coughlin. Comes out towards Brendan Linsky. Michael Dignan there too, keeping up the attack. Mark Corrigan. And the sides are on level terms. Nice turn, economical style, and a very good shot. Once again, you'll see the statistics on the various players as we go through the match. Brendan Keeshan whips into it first time towards Joe Dooley, trying to drop Joel Sylvie Linane in towards the centre. This is Ollie Kilkenny, whose brother Tony Kilkenny failed to make the team because of an injury. Pat O'Connor, first chance for him on that far side to make an impression. Martin Hannamy is there too to do a little tidying up, but it comes again to Linsky, making a good start. Impressive run, trying to round Pat O'Connor on the right-hand side. Drops short, however, and Troy is a very good goalkeeper, not easily beaten. Pat Malone lets it drop down, now has to be busy and quick to tidy up for his own error if he can. But it's once again Offaly and Joachim Kelly. Kelly is held over there, and that's going to be a free. Free on the 45-metre line for Offaly. Sides level at the moment. Mark Corrigan then to take the free. There we got the Offaly equalising score, now bidding to put his county in front for the first time. This is low inside, and it's taken by Jerry McInerney wearing the white boots. Not sure if they're studs or not. Ollie Kilkenny is hooped, having difficulty getting it away out of the danger area. Eugene Coughlin was bustling, he was persistent, and the persistence pays off because it's drawn a foul and a free. Ollie Kilkenny there, who displayed admirable consistency in the championship, just a two-match championship indeed last year for Galway. So here's Mark Corrigan. Should be 2 points to 1 after this shot. Oh, he's gone for the top corner of the goal! Speculatively so, and Offaly have a goal. 5 minutes gone. Oh, we were all expecting a tap over. Sometimes you wonder, do players actually intend to do that, or did it rather fortunately go in? But he spotted a complete gap. You can see the gap, and that's a great shot. Well, Galway know that Offaly are such a hard team to put down. And Offaly have started very impressively. Galway have a free on the 45-metre line, something which happened as we were watching the replay. Joe Cooney is going to be the free taker. And that sails away to the left. Nothing coming of it then, and Galway with just that 1 point to show for the opening 6 minutes. Might be worth making the point that Joe Cooney does not exactly like taking frees. Michael McGrath tends to take them for the club side Sarsfields that they both play for. Michael Dignan. Covered off here by Peter Finnerty, one of the two returned Yanks. Following Jerry McInerney, Pat Malone into the middle. Joe Cooney whips on it, but doesn't get too much length into it. Pat O'Connor is there too for Offaly. Brendan Keeshan tidies, whipped away in field by Michael Dignan through the middle. Towards Eugene Coughlin, Conor Hayes back there wasn't all that terribly impressive in Galway's opening match in Defensive League Championship against London. Out to Ollie Kilkenny it comes. Stopped, however, by Mark Corrigan. Tended to turn to the right, goes to the left infield towards Vincent Tehan. Tehan couldn't take it, and this is Brendan Linsky. I think we're going to have quite a championship match, as we always do when Offaly and Galway are involved. McGrath towards Ian O'Ryan. He had a splendid semi-final last year, scored a goal in 4 points, trying to round John Miller. Inside intended for Joe Cooney, kept away from him by Mick Coughlin. Upfield towards Vincent Tehan, down by Peter Finnerty. It's all action. McGrath picked up by Cunningham with difficulty. Back to Martin Naughton. That looks to be on its way. It is. Sails up into the empty slopes of Hill 16 by Martin Naughton. And that's Galway's second point. So 2 points the margin now. Delaney got the Sunday Games Man of the Match award for his performance in the Leinster final. The referee sees some holding and a free out for Galway. Man of the match last year, Jerry McInerney. I wonder, was he saying, take it easy, it's a hot day, we need to pace ourselves. John Miller is under the dropping ball. Loughley's right corner back. Brendan Keeshan right half back. He's tidy, he's always busy, and gets himself out of a tight situation. Did very well, John Miller, in the Leinster final, subduing Martin Quigley. Jerry McInerney. Nice chip. Towards Noel Lane. Good pair of hands, Noel Lane in towards Martin McGrath. High challenge to the face that time by Aidan Fogarty, and John Moore, the Waterford official, nips in quickly to defuse that and to issue the caution to the number 3 who had escaped from the danger area. Just a warning. Joe Cooney then to put just the bare minimum between the sides. Over it sails. Galway's third point, Joe Cooney's first. Galway, of course, bidding to reach the All-Ireland final for the 4th year in succession, which is quite a record, considering all the frustration the county endured in the 50s and 60s and even into the early 70s. Peter Finnerty, Michael Dignan. There was a nudge and the referee spotted it, and that's going to be a free out for that push on Finnerty. Very calm looking Tony Cady is the one who's going across to take it. Galway looking the more dangerous side already when they're in the attack. That's a very good one. Searching in towards Noel Lane, drops it on this occasion down towards Michael McGrath. The Offaly backs group well, and that's Martin Hannamy chipping it away, but a bad one. It comes straight out to Anthony Cunningham. Trying to get it inside to Lane, shot blocked, and it's a goal by Ian O'Ryan. Galway take the lead. Ian O'Ryan, the scorer, 11 minutes gone. The second goal of the game follows a very good save once again by Jim Troy. That one came out nicely to Anthony Cunningham. Watch the good run. Pat O'Connor has been tested well on that left-hand side. The shot by Noel Lane produced a fine save, but great positioning by Ian O'Ryan. A real opportunist goal. Back live with the action and a sideline ball in favour of Offaly. Galway, who'll be hoping to overwhelm their Midland opponents and near neighbours. Team of great talents. But Offaly have that defiant nature, great character and spirit as well. So hard to put down. Pat Malone, not such a good ground stroke. It comes straight out to Joachim Kelly. Hand passes it to his partner, Michael Dignan. Knew where the target was and picked it out. It's a nice point. Michael Dignan indeed was educated in Galway College in County Galway, where he was also a very good rugby player, I believe. And Galway have produced players like Conor Hayes and Ollie Kilkenny as well. Michael Dignan touches that one down, but the referee spotted a foul, and he's giving it as a free into Galway. John Moore right up there with the action. This sultry afternoon. Joe Cooney's second chance of pointing a free, and he's missed it. And we made the point earlier that he does not like free taking. Galway have had a bit of a problem with this in the past, and he's the one who always seems to be entrusted with the job, in the absence of PJ Malloy, of course. So a point separating the sides. Galway the leaders. Vincent Tehan looking for her score, and he levels it up. That was a well-taken point, got well away from his marker, Peter Finnerty, who'll have to be a good deal tighter against this fellow. Made an impression when he came on in the Leinster Championship, came on the second half against Dublin and played the whole of the Wexford game. Brendan Keeshan, not standing on ceremony, whipped into it but didn't get too much length. Breaks down, comes towards Pat Malone, outside to Martin Naughton, turning on his favourite left-hand side, but way wide. Galway now have 3 wides and Offaly with 2. Linsky. Tony Keeley was calling for the pass. Linsky didn't hit it all that terribly well, but got it down towards Martin McGrath, but that's Martin Hannamy, great left half back. Peter Finnerty, how sharp is his game, one wonders, after 2 winters now in America. Cross it comes towards Ian O'Ryan, inside, delivered, but the pass couldn't be taken by Anthony Cunningham. Cooney was there too, and the chance has gone astray. It was a good move, or it had the makings of a very good move. This is Pat O'Connor here in the relatively new position of left half back for him, and he really hasn't settled down all that well yet. Cooney's sideline cut, cross towards Linsky. No lane, and wide. And now the fans, I think, beginning to wonder about all these wides. There's the position, and that's the time remaining in the first half, of course. Delaney, can he get some change out of Tony Keady? Send some ball into the forwards. Not if Jerry McInerney has his way. Towards Michael McGrath. Remember, playing top of the right. Anthony Cunningham playing right half forward, marked by Pat O'Connor. He has the beatings of the left half back at the moment. And Galway are in front again. Brilliant individual skill. He has lightning pace, Anthony Cunningham, the man who captained Galway to their first and only minor victory in 1983. Just 23 years of age. When you think about all the players in Galway who never won All-Ireland medals, he has a minor, under 21, despite the jersey being pulled. He also has a senior. Pat O'Connor there, not at the races on this particular occasion. He's a great forward, Anthony Cunningham, did well last year as well, and a good shot. Meanwhile, back live with the action, there's been some holding. Eugene Coughlin was being held, and it's going to be a free, which Mark Corrigan is getting ready to take to add to the goal and the point he's scored so far. And so the sides level one more time. Fine, fresh afternoon here in Dublin, scarcely a breath of wind about, and what breeze there is freshening and blowing more or less across the field. Mick Coughlin overreaches himself. It comes down to Martin Naughton, trying to go through the Offaly defence, looking porous at the moment, this Offaly defence. Hand passing it, and wisely so, to put Galway back in front again. That's 2 points he's scored. Level 4 times in this match so far. They're saying that there might not be the puck of the ball between them, and that's the way it's turning out. Brendan Linsky gets down to Joe Cooney, centre forward trying to assert himself towards Noel Lane, the veteran of the piece, and the referee saw there was some holding and pushing by Noel Lane on Aidan Fogarty, and he's given the free out to Offaly. Well, Lane looking a little vexed by that decision. Jim Troy. Pat Malone is under the dropping ball, so to Brendan Linsky. Joe Cooney has drifted into the middle also. Brendan Keeshan whips it back, and that's the kind of ball the forwards up there like. Offaly, with their two converted defenders into attackers, would like the ball dropping in around the square. There was a tap on the back of the head there of Ollie Kilkenny by Eugene Coughlin. It comes out towards Pat Cleary. Cleary, who hasn't scored in 4 championship matches now, breaks down to Sylvie Linane, takes the sting out of that, and directs it back downfield. McGrath's the recipient. Towards Noel Lane, that's the kind of ball they like, the kind of ball that they can run onto with plenty of open space and a great deal of pace in this Galway forward line. John Miller catching cleanly but misdirecting his clearance out to McGrath, who makes Offaly pay, and Michael McGrath has got his name on the score sheet, and now each of the 6 forwards have scored. It's always an interesting point when each of the forwards can manage to get at least a point or two, giving each of them a little bit of confidence as well. Oh, one-handed by Pat Delaney, not too convincing, and this Galway backline is not going to be beaten that easily. A packed Hogan stand here. Every vantage point taken up, of course. Brendan Keeshan. Dignan can't hold. Picked up neatly, but he picked it off the ground. The referee was right there, and so too was Brendan Linsky. Tony Keady is going to be the free taker. Michael Dignan here, who played in the minor All-Ireland final at full forward in 1986. Keady. And that's a well-directed free from the 65-metre line. And Tony Keady gets into the scoring action, and Galway have now pulled clear of Offaly, leading by 3 points. Midway through the first half. Offaly will now seek a response quickly, but their forwards haven't been getting too much change so far. The goal they scored was from a free, remember. That's Georgie Lahey there in the middle of all that, and Andy Gallagher there too. Damien Martin should be around there somewhere. They're the three selectors looking after Offaly's fortunes this year. I wonder, will Brendan Keeshan attempt to pop this one over the bar? It's inside the 45-metre line. Well within his range. Remember, 3 points between the teams. Yes, but it tails, and it's helped out eventually by Conor Hayes for a 65 then. Conor Hayes there, who was 30 in June last year, led Galway to All-Ireland and National League success. He's also one of 6 current All-Stars in the team. And there, of course, is the great manager himself, Cyril Farrell, bidding to do what Galway would love to do, that's win All-Ireland's back-to-back. Keeshan. Oh, that's nicely judged. Brendan Keeshan's first point of the afternoon keeps Offaly well in touch. Shin Roman there, who scored 7 points in 2 championship games so far. Commons not quite getting the same length into the puck outs as he did last year, I think. So Jerry McInerney, it looks like he's enjoying this afternoon of sunshine hurling. Certainly dressed for the occasion. Well cut. Ian Ryan can't hold. Anthony Cunningham is busy, looking for support. Gets it from Ian Ryan. Blocked down by John Miller. Brendan Keeshan adds to it, whips it in low, in towards Pat Delaney. Can't strike it, but Vincent Tehan can. Up towards Pat Cleary it goes. Jerry McInerney going backwards, holds it, despite the challenge of Mark Corrigan. Lost the stick, got support to his left-hand side. Ollie Kilkenny can't take it. Here's Peter Finnerty and Galway in the half-back line at 6s and 7s, looking in distress. They fouled, and it's going to be a free-in for Offaly. And Peter Finnerty wonders why. Well, they really were in a right tangle that time, opting for a couple of hand passes that were too short when they should have been going for the longer stuff if at all possible. Mark Corrigan can put just a point between the teams if he points this one, and that's the case. He's now got a goal and 2 points. A player who can always be depended upon to chip in with some vital scores. When these sides met in the quarter-final of the league last March, he got the winning point 40 seconds from the end. Just to double-check the notes down here, I see Corrigan has now got a goal and 3 points, so let's credit him exactly. Out by Aidan Fogarty it goes to Brendan Keeshan. He's doing well with the ground hurling. Michael Dignan one-handed into the challenge with Peter Finnerty. It breaks out towards Jerry McInerney. There too is Pat Cleary trying to supply the ammunition up towards Joe Dooley, who's been quiet so far. Peter Finnerty getting it across towards Ollie Kilkenny, turning into 3 players, extricating himself well out of that difficult situation to Anthony Cunningham, now operating around the centre forward position, rounding Pat O'Connor, rounding Michael Dignan, going through on a run, leaving it there for Joe Cooney on the right hand side. A snapshot from Cooney, but doesn't produce the score. Cooney has just got 1 point so far, and that was from a free, and there's the amount of time remaining in the first half, but a very evenly contested game. blocked down by Ollie Kilkenny. Clearly persists. Vincent Tian is there too. Out to Mark Corrigan it comes, turning onto his left-hand side. Galway still holding that 1-point advantage, and it's Tony Keady who's got the ball. He's got players to aim it on both sides. It comes to Eanna Ryan, who is industriously coming away from the top of the left position, but that half-struck shot comes to John Miller, the Offaly's right corner back, in towards Pat Delaney, breaks the ball down, but over towards Georgie Lahey, standing there over there. And I'm just wondering, with Georgie Lahey on the far side there, I was wondering whether in fact he might have been giving instructions to Joe Dooley to come out around the middle of the field, which is an old Offaly ploy. Galway thought that was going to be their ball, but the referee signals it's an Offaly sideline cut. Michael Duignan the taker, and it comes to Pat Cleary, half blocked down, but it comes to Mark Corrigan. Oh dear, the ball just didn't break kindly for him. It skidded along the ground, and he was nearly in for goal number 2 of the afternoon. And incidentally, that move has now been effected. Joe Dooley has gone out around the middle of the field. He's out there alongside Joachim Kelly. Michael Duignan's been switched up top of the left. Here's Dooley now, with the other number 15, and racing out for his Michael McGrath, who was so impressive in last year's semi-final. Well directed, over towards Eanna Ryan. Martin Naughton was searching, just in case the ball came his way. It did. Belting it down into space, but there's nobody there top of the right at the moment. All these switches about can have a confusing effect on a team. It's happened to Galway once or twice in the past as well. Referee's whistle sounds for that foul on Michael Duignan. He's having a word there with Sylvie Linnane, saying, back you go, Sylvie, I want this match played and continued as fast as possible. Free to Offaly. Oh, he was giving a little nudge as well, which the crowd behind the goal saw. So did we on Michael Duignan. Mark Corrigan. Can he put Offaly level once again? He can. Mark Corrigan has scored 1 goal and 3 points out of Offaly's 1 goal and 7, and we have just under 7 minutes to go in the half. Coughlin can't hold on to it, not quite as dominant as he was in the Leinster final, but he played a good game for Offaly. But here's Martin Naughton. Oh, nicely judged, not leaving too much margin for error either. Near the right-hand post, over it sails, and Galway are in front again. Holding it, challenged by Joe Dooley. Joachim Kelly's there too. Into space it comes. Eugene Coughlin racing across for it over there. Conor Hayes trying to close down his space. Whoa, whipped across the face of the goal. Nobody was expecting it. And where does it go? It's gone for a puck out. Eugene Coughlin's best work so far in the championship, and indeed in the latter stages of the league, has been seen as a distributor, a player who creates chances and scores for others. There he is, a fullback in last year's championship. 12th season in the Offaly colours. Here's Joachim Kelly. The ball travelling in fast. That's Peter Finnerty making a fine catch. Really good dominant play by Finnerty. Martin Hanamy likewise for Offaly across to the other cornerback, John Miller. Time to keep it in play, closed down however by Martin McGrath. The ball sails upfield over the head of Jerry McInerney, but Keady is there. In towards Linsky, out comes Mick Coughlin, can't take it. Brendan Keeshan there for Offaly, to Joachim Kelly, nice pick up outside his own 65-metre line. To the middle to Pat Delaney, who doesn't look all that convincing at centre forward this afternoon, Pat Delaney, but it breaks on to Tian. Vincent Tian will strike if he can. Miss hit, will continue to probe, has a second chance, and he's fluffed it. But it goes off a defender, and it's gone for a 65. And I would think Vincent Tian realises that he had a golden chance there of a score. Two really good chances, if we're fair about it, for Offaly, but I suppose we have to credit the defence as well for closing them down. Game is played at quite a pace, good spirit on a warm afternoon. Four minutes to go to half-time. Brendan Keeshan's effort has gone wide. So just a point the difference, favouring Galway. And the Galway fans will hope to take that lead with them to the half-time break, I'm sure. Coughlin battling with Joe Cooney. It comes down to Anthony Cunningham. He's hooped brilliantly by Pat O'Connor, now finding his confidence, I'm sure, after a rather nervous start. Joachim Kelly beaten for it by the other number 9, Pat Malone. It comes to Martin Naughton, half blocked down. It reaches the arms of Ian O'Ryan, swings in towards Noel Lane. Is he looking for another goal? I'm sure he is, and he's got it too. Galway's second goal is scored by Noel Lane. He was involved in the creation of the first goal, and he's got the second. 3 minutes before half-time. Nice interaction between the forwards. Here was Ian O'Ryan, and that man with glue-like fingers, Noel Lane, picks it up. That's the kind of ball he loves. Rounds the fullback with difficulty and hand passes it beyond Jim Troy. So it's all Galway just now, leading by a goal and a point. Aidan Fogarty, whose confidence will have been rocked somewhat by that, is fouled over there, and that's going to be an Offaly free, which Martin Hannamy will take. And the Galway fans who've waited until the beginning of August for their championship season to commence, thanks to this system, which sees them come in late, enjoying their afternoon at Croke Park as Linsky takes it from the air. No foul. Pat Delaney gets in. It comes to Sylvie Linnane, turns well, strikes sweetly into space. Ryan is racing onto it. Ian O'Ryan, the star of last year's semi-final, drills it in low, searchingly and probingly in towards the full forward line. Martin Naughton's there. Is there a second goal to kill off Offaly's chances? There is! A second goal in the space of a minute. 3 goals in all, and Martin Naughton has got it. Well, that's a lead that they'll certainly take with them now to half-time. A good first half, was evenly balanced for a long time, but in the last minute, Galway have begun to take their chances well in front of goal, and Martin Naughton saw huge gaps which he exploited well, and Troy was absolutely helpless to do anything about it. Offaly now seeking to come back quickly, wanting to stay in this match with a full second half still to come. Joachim Kelly, Vincent Tehan, and it's wide. The greater number of chances really have been at the other end, but Offaly have had some good ones themselves also, as we were inside the final minute of the first half. The chant of Galway, Galway sounds around Croke Park now. The champions, with Ian O'Ryan playing superbly. Martin Naughton, that latest goal scorer. And certainly the tactic of bottling up the Offaly backs and confusing them with good running and direct power play is certainly paying off so far, even if Joe Cooney has been relatively quiet. Perhaps he takes much of the attention off the other forwards. There's a tap down on the back of the head, and it's going to be a free in for Galway. Well, Noel Lane is playing really well. He's a good target man and takes his chances whenever he gets it. Cooney will take great care with this one. Every chance vital as we tick into injury time, and he's blocked this particular one. Free taking continues to be a problem, but it's one of the few problems Galway have had in the last 5 minutes as the referee blows the whistle. And the Galway team, champions, going in at half-time, saluted by the fans in Croke Park. 3 goals and 8 points to 1 goal and 7 they lead. Their goals coming from Ian O'Ryan, who's contributed handsomely and set up great chances, Martin Naughton's got another, and No Lane's got the third. What a first half it's been for Galway.
Well, there was never going to be an awful lot in this game, and indeed there hasn't been for most of those 35 minutes. Although it has to be said the last 5 minutes of that game has gone something against Offaly. Nonetheless, you can be quite sure it's not going to be as simple as that for Galway, and we look forward to what was sure to be a close and tense second half. Right now we have a commercial break coming up. After that we're going to be talking to our panel, Joe Connolly and Johnny Clifford, so join us again in a moment.
Hurdle.
Welcome back again. Well, as we await the second half of this semi-final between Galway and Offaly, the half-time entertainment in this match, indeed as it has been all day today, provided for us, of course, by the Artane Boys Band. So let's listen to them for a few minutes. Yes, the Artane Boys Band there. Now, you may have seen some activity going on around the Artane Boys Band with some young players. Well, they are actually young players. There's some 80 of them here in Croke Park today who were involved in an exhibition of some of the skills of the game. Nice to see the younger players getting an opportunity to come here and sample the atmosphere, and indeed, perhaps we'll be back here at some time in the future playing hurling on a greater stage. All of them, as you've noticed, by the way, playing helmets. That's compulsory for primary school children and will be as they go through the grades in hurling in the future. So then, as they entertain the crowds here at half-time in this match, let me turn back to our panel again. Joe Connolly, you were supposed to go to a wedding today, but on Galway's first half performance, I'm sure you're glad you came here instead.
That's right, Mike. Well, all my neighbours and friends and my wife Kathy at the reception in the Ordmore Lodge, I want them all to go on their knees now and please pray that we hold the lead that we have for the second half. It's 84 and Michael Tierney, friends of mine, their wedding, so I give them my best wishes and see them tonight. But you know, sitting here now in Galway leading by 7 points, it happened before in 1981 in a similar situation that Galway had a lead, and I'd be very bothered by the roar of the Galway crowd as the team ran in at half time kind of saying, "You're great lads, we're doing well," but we're not doing well. And it was only the last 5 minutes that Galway started playing the direct hurling, which they must do to beat Offaly, because this Foster now doing the half back line of hand passing and trying to solo through the forward line, it's or the tip Offaly back line. They're wasting their time. They're such direct hurlers, Offaly. So if they maintain the direct hurling that they did in the last 5 or 10 minutes of the first half, I think we'll hold on.
Johnny Clifford, maybe this is the Galway man coming out in me, and just to pick up on what Joe Connolly has been saying there, you got the feeling from Galway that they should have been for most of this first half well ahead, but as Joe said, there's been a lot of foostering around.
Well, it has been a funny game, Michael. I thought that Galway had the edge all through, and yet 5 minutes to go they were only a point in front. But it's that kind of a game. They were leaving Offaly back into it, going down the field, getting the odd point. But they came away and they got 2 goals there in the last 5 minutes. 2 goals, I believe. I thought the goal that No Lane got, that the fullback was left isolated completely on his own with No Lane, and that shouldn't happen. Yes. The second one, if you look at it, Brendan Keesham never...
Let's look at that goal there, Johnny, for a moment that you were talking about. Yeah. The ball played in by Éanna Ryan.
That's the second goal now.
This is the second goal coming up.
You see, here's Brendan Keesham, number 5, and his man gone inside him, and he never went in after him to pick him up.
Yes. Well,
he
Martin,
should have done that.
Yeah, Joe Martin Nocton, we were talking about Joe Cooney before the match, but for me, Martin Nocton has been Galway. Certainly he's their most industrious forward in this game.
He's played very well. Like, one thing he does very well is that in solo runs, he always seems to maintain control of the ball, which is a very difficult thing to do. And running with the ball is his forte, but he's also got the goal and 3 very good points, and would be in a bad way without him. He's played very well.
Yeah. Johnny, let's have a look at Offaly's goal by Mark Corrigan here now. This showed up something of Galway's lapses at the back, because we'll see in the wide shot that the goal was not protected at all in the far side.
Not protected at all, yes. They obviously, again, felt that he was going to hit it over the bar, which everybody probably thought. But you shouldn't be, if you're going to win All Ireland, you have to look at all those things. And they certainly left it open for them to have a cut-off. A bad goal on Galway's point of view again.
Yeah. I'm sure from an Offaly point of view, they'll be in the dressing room and their supporters will feel that they certainly don't deserve to be so far behind at half-time, because they played as well as Galway until those last 4 or 5 minutes.
They have indeed, Michael, but I always felt that every time Galway came up, there was plenty of space, and again, unless Offaly tighten up and nail people and stop them from running with the ball, they're going to be in trouble.
But the question is, do you believe that they have the character, maybe as much as the skill, to come back into this game now and fight their way back?
Well, they may have the character. Whether they have the skill at this stage is doubtful to me, Michael. I fancied Galway, and I think that they're going to win. Offaly's defence is much too open altogether, and they're giving away the odd score all the time. They're coming back up the field, they're bringing it down to a point at who Galway come back up and score again. That kind of a game, Michael, has proven the last 5 minutes. Galway got 2 goals and turned the match completely around.
Well, you might be happy about Galway, Johnny. I'm sure Joe Connolly and all the Galway supporters will wait just a little while yet before they start cheering Galway on for the All-Ireland final. The team's coming back out then for the second half of this match. Galway leading by 7 points at half-time. Let's return again to Ger Canning.
Galway are back on. We're awaiting the return of Offaly. Galway are unchanged. The forwards are having a little union meeting at the moment up out of shot. Offaly are now coming back, and we'll just wait to see what, if any, changes they decide to make. They have a limited enough panel in terms of experience. Looking through their subs list, a lot of them are straight out of minor. There's Mick Coughlin. Oh, there's a change. Danny Owens is in. Now, Danny Owens, of course, has All-Ireland medals from 1981 and 1985, won against Galway. You won't need a reminder of that if you're watching in the West, of course. Danny Owens then lining up. We'll wait to see where he is positioned. Seems to be midfield, I think it is. He will partner Joachim Kelly. The old partnership then of Kelly and Owens is renewed. Michael Dygnall, I think, is the one who's gone. That's the case. He's now leaving. You see him there in the background. John Moore then of Offaly, or of Watford rather. There's the half-time position, 7 points separating the teams. So can Galway then reach a record 4th All-Ireland final in a row, leading by 2 goals and a point at half-time? And Joe Cooney takes a tumble, pushed, and that's going to be the opening free. Even though the game has been played in a good spirit, we've had a lot of frees and a lot of fouling. None of it, thankfully, of a very serious nature. And it's going to be Joe Cooney who'll come back out to take the free. I'm sure he would have preferred to be under the dropping ball inside. This is inside the 65-metre line. Looks well targeted. And that's the opening point of the second half. Joe Cooney's second score, and they both come from frees. He's taking a lot of the attention away from some of the other forwards, I feel, and being very closely marked by Mick Coughlin. Offaly then needing to get right back into this game. The goal had a touch of good fortune about it, I can't help feeling. But for that, they would be very far behind at this stage. Mark Corrigan, who ended the first half with a goal and 4 points to his credit. Wide it goes. And that was one they needed. out by John Commons. McCoughlin wonders where it goes. It goes down towards Anthony Cunningham. Aidan Fogarty out towards Brendan Linsky in the middle of the field, getting there ahead of Vincent Tian. Danny Owens puts in the challenge. Pete Finnerty here, half blocked down by Vincent Tian, but it gets it up towards Noel Lane. It skids along, runs in over the end line and wide. Noel Lane, who got one of the 3 goals in the first half, goal number 2 for Galway. On towards Peter Finnerty it goes. Good clash of sticks and claims for ball down there, and Anthony Cunningham in particular is very, very insistent that it should be a Galway ball. Danny Owens then. Cut up towards Pat Delaney, runs on however to Mark Corrigan, and he seems to be the one forward who can really carry the fight to Galway. He's got a goal and 5 points now. So they go point for point at the start of this second half. Tian to gain an advantage, but it runs on instead to Joe Cooney. Steadies himself and into the netting behind the goal it goes. So far, not a happy afternoon for Joe Cooney, really. There's the Offaly dugout wondering whether they can get back into this match. A goal would do a lot for them. Sylvie Linane gets it out. Malone on towards the industrious Martin Naughton. Touched down by John Miller, who didn't have such a good first half. To Danny Owens. Steadies. Little chip forward. More in hope than in confidence. Eugene Coughlin and Pat Delaney, the 2 big men down the centre, have yet to score, I'll remind you. Joe Dooley hasn't scored, Pat Cleary hasn't scored, so it's very much Mark Corrigan to the fore. Brendan Keeshan trying to close the play down there, but it runs across towards Danny Owens, picked up here by Anthony Cunningham, who looks really determined, racing through the cover, lays it off towards Ian O'Ryan. Look for a return, but it's whipped out of danger there by Martin Hannamy, but they're under pressure once again. Martin McGrath, Galway regroup, shoot and score. There's the great strength of the Galway team. They group well together, keep up the pressure, and there's always support coming from a colleague. That's out by Pat Malone. Towards Anthony Cunningham, towards Michael McGrath here. Joe Lane, or no Lane rather, steadying inside the 45-metre line and an unerring finish. They're making Offaly look a very moderate side at the moment, Galway, playing like champions and stamping their authority on the game. Pat Delaney getting no change out of Keady so far. Danny Owens battling for the foul against Brendan Linsky. And Brendan Keeshan is the one who's going to come up to take this one. About 50 metres out, a little bit more, 55 metres perhaps. It looks to be well on its way. Brendan Keeshan's second point and 8 points separating the teams. Switches in the Offaly defence, by the way, I should tell you about. Martin Hannamy is now centre half back. Mick Coughlin has gone left corner back. Well, there's a push there, I think, which the referee didn't see, by Pat O'Connor on Anthony Cunningham. Comes down to Joe Cooney inside towards Noel Lane. A good pick up ahead there of Aidan Fogarty. A nice turn. This is a splendid tour de force by Noel Lane. He's got a goal and 3 points. An excellent performance by the senior member of the attack. Noel Lane, who scored 52 goals for Galway in his career, including the one he's got this afternoon. There's the position. And Offaly, if they're going to make a match of it now, they're going to have to get back into it quickly. But look at the determination on Martin Naughton as he races through, and he puts it over the bar for one of the nicest points of the afternoon. This is terrific hurling. Great style, great stickwork and finishing being illustrated by the champions from the West. Well, the fans around Croke Park right now are just stunned by the style of the champions. Galway playing as good as they could possibly play at the moment. And I'm sure the Tipperary fans who are here, their side safely through to the final, are wondering already, as the referee saw a push there by Joe Dooley on Sylvie Linane, which is going to be punished. A shake of the head by Joe, who has yet to score this afternoon. Came into this match having scored 3 goals in the championship, 1 against Dublin, and then 2 in the Leinster final against Wexford. Pat O'Connor is leaving the field, and PJ Martin has been brought in by Offaly. So Pat O'Connor, who's had a disappointing afternoon, it was something of a gamble to play him at left half back in the first place. Tian, closed down, referee says no foul. Corrigan, pursued all the way by Pete Finnerty towards Danny Owens, without the stick, he picks it up Gaelic style, grounded by Jerry McInerney, free in for Offaly. Danny Owens lost the stick and lost the helmet as well. Well, at this stage in the game, with 10 points between the teams, you would begin to wonder if from free situations Offaly will go for goals. There's the 3 wise men from the West on this occasion: Cyril Farrell, Phelan Murphy. Just waiting to see where Bernie O'Connor is. On the 20-metre line, Mark Corrigan is the taker. You'll recall the goal he scored in the Leinster final from a penalty. This isn't a penalty, they're all on the goal line waiting for it. 3:13 to 1-9. It's saved, it's stopped, and it's come out. And it's back in again by Mark Corrigan and wide. And the Galway full-back line there, Peter Finnerty, saying, right lads, let's stick to the task at hand now. It's gone off a defender for a 65, in fact. Watch it again in replay. Brilliant stopping there by the defence. Sylvie Linane was there and it's swept out. Brendan Keesham will be the taker. They need scores, and plenty of them quickly, and that one has gone wide. It's becoming a very, very disappointing afternoon for Offaly now. Galway, of course, there's Phelan Murphy, the hurling board secretary and selector. Galway, of course, believe in their hearts that they threw away 2 All-Ireland finals to Offaly in 81 and 85. Over the head of PJ Martin it goes, on to Ian O'Ryan, the architect of much of the good play in the first half. Troy advances, courageously sweeps it away over the sideline here, and that's going to be a Galway ball. Brendan Linsky leaving it there for Pete Finnerty. He's looked very, very sharp, Pete Finnerty, I must say. So too Jerry McInerney. For players who were out of senior competitive hurling for most of the last couple of winters. Coughlin comes up to Michael McGrath to Joe Cooney and over the bar. Joe Cooney's got a point from play. That's 3 points in all that he's contributed, and Galway have that handsome lead. That's the amount of time remaining. You wonder whether Offaly can really come back. In a tight finish, one might well have expected Offaly to prevail. And Galway are taking no chances. They don't want tight finishes. They want to have this match well and truly over and done with. Linsky through the centre towards Anthony Cunningham. Flakes it forward. Joe Cooney on the ground. Did it go off the stick of PJ Martin? Linesman says yes. Galway ball. And off the ball at the moment. I see Noel Lane down on the field, lying down injured, and the referee John Moore is going back to have a word with his umpires behind the goal. I can't say I saw what happened. It was off the ball. John Moore in a quick little consultation then with the men in the white coats. And what will be the outcome? They wait in the Offaly dugout as well to see what is going to happen. Aidan Fogarty is the player who's been spoken to. The referee lays down the law, and the name of Aidan Fogarty goes into his book. And I think that's the first booking we've had this afternoon in this senior match. The experienced Aidan Fogarty, who won All-Ireland medals as a half-back. Noel Lane is still receiving attention. Noel Lane, who's actually 33 years of age, won't be 34, I think, until December. Happily back on the feet. So nearly 14 minutes gone in the second half. Galway 3-14, Offaly 1-9. Pete Finnerty, the taker of the sideline ball. A place in the All-Ireland final at stake against Tipperary. Éanna Ryan across the face, and it's whipped away by John Miller into open space. Vincent Tehan racing down for it. Martin Naughton tried to close down that gap and catch up with the speedy and pacey player. Vincent Tehan on the right-hand side strikes, and Offaly have needed a score, but they need a lot more than that. Only two of the Offaly forwards have scored, which is a telling indictment against them this afternoon. Tehan has one, Corrigan's the other. He's got 2 points, Vincent Tehan. And a push there on PJ Martin, I think. Results in a free for Brendan Keeshan and Offaly. PJ Martin is now playing centre half back. Keeshan's probing ball down towards Pat Delaney, who's been something of a disappointment. Picked up here by Danny Owens. Referee says play on. And stopped down there by the last line of defence. John Commons goes off a defender and is gone for a 65. John Commons, the Galway goalkeeper, called into service. It's always a difficult one for a goalkeeper when there's so much play down at the other end. He has to keep his concentration and his sharpness for the occasion when they will most need him. One of the great long-range free takers in modern hurling, Brendan Keeshan. Drops in searchingly towards Pat Delaney, and it's a goal for Offaly. It's precisely what the game has required. Well, that's a vital goal for Offaly. First real chance we've seen of Pat Delaney in action, and he goes from the 65. 16 minutes are gone in the second half. Watch for the big blonde centre forward. Used to be centre half, of course. That one came down and he touched it in. So the big fellow says, right, let's have more of that. Might make a match of it yet. Vincent Tehan drills it through to Eugene Coughlin. If they can get motoring, we could have a tight finish yet. Joe Dooley has been so quiet all along. Stopped by John Commons. Cleared away to midfield. Joachim Kelly gathers with confidence. Blocked down, however, by Pat Malone. Malone sticks doggedly to his task. Pat Delaney coming out to try and save the situation for Offaly, but it's Martin Naughton who takes it away in another mazy solo run right across field. pursued by PJ Martin and Vincent Tian. Crossing, what a run of about 40 metres, make that about 50 now. Oh, this is a fantastic run by Naughton. Eventually stopped just outside the 20-metre run. That is one of the best solo runs I think I've seen for years in top flight hurling. Oh, marvellous stop by Naughton, the 24-year-old. What pace, what skill. Well, from a possible chance for Offaly at the other end, he set up a scoring chance for Galway down at the canal end. Should be from a good angle for Joe Cooney. And that's his 4th point, the 3rd to come from frees. And a quick enough response to that Offaly goal by Pat Delaney. The margin at the moment is 8 points in Galway's favour. Jim Croy towards Joachim Kelly, runs on to Mark Corrigan. Pat Cleary has also been very quiet, stopped on this occasion by Ollie Kilkenny, comes out to Danny Owens. Owens trying to take it through the heart of that defence, popped a high one to the face by Tony Keady, and the referee has a quick word with Galway's centre half back as Danny Owens is grounded. Free into Offaly will be the outcome, and Joe Dooley is leaving the scene of the action. We'll wait to see just who has come in to replace him. Sympathetic pats from the people on the bench over there for Joe Dooley. Mark Corrigan will be the free taker. A low enough trajectory, but he puts it over the bar nonetheless. Michael McGrath, by the way, has left the Galway team and been replaced by Pat Nolan. Offaly have brought on their sub, and that's Declan Pilkington. Declan Pilkington from Burr, who's come in. Former forward on the Offaly All-Ireland teams of the last 2 years at minor level. That's out by Aidan Fogarty over the sideline, and once again a Galway sideline ball. One of the great encouragements for Offaly in the last few years has been the success of their minor teams, winning 2 All-Irelands back-to-back in '86 and '87. Brendan Linsky. Such a good cut-up, reaching Ian O'Ryan nonetheless. The quick delivery inside for Joe Cooney, right-hand side, trying to tap it in. Oh, dangerously so in front of Jim Croy. Out it goes by Aidan Fogarty to the waiting Danny Owens. Owens clears towards midfield. Peter Finnerty racing across, but he misses it completely. It comes to Tony Keady. He steadies, shoots, and he has put it wide. Can only have been a couple of feet wide of that left-hand post. Keady, you got a point earlier on, you remember? That half-back line is still playing splendidly for Galway. Finnerty, Keady and McInerney. 4th year they've been together in the championship. Brendan Keeshan, hooked by Martin Naughton, who's having a magnificent match for Galway. But they've had so many top performers. Mick Coughlin. Down towards Pat Delaney. His catching has not been great down there, but he did contribute that vital goal in the second half to keep Offaly's hopes just about alive. Pete Finnerty, slack ball, went straight towards Joachim Kelly. Brendan Keeshan over towards Pat Cleary, trying to get some change out of Ollie Kilkenny, the Galway All-Star. Joachim Kelly up there quickly, but so too was Ian O'Ryan. To Martin Naughton, from way out the field, just inside the 65-metre line. Well, it would have made a good point, but it doesn't on this occasion. Wide of the target. Comes towards Michael McGrath. We may have said that he had left the scene of the action. He hasn't. He's very much still there, as you see. Ian O'Ryan is now at midfield, I think, in the Galway cause. Ollie Kilkenny can't hold that stinging shot, but still gets it away towards Michael McGrath. And they called Hopper down around Galway. There's terrific commitment being shown by Galway, and Offaly doing their best manfully to drag themselves up and get into this game. They were so much in it up to about 5 minutes before half-time. Danny Owens back there on his own 45-metre line, puts Pat Delaney, attempted to hit on it, and the referee didn't like the swipe, regarded it as a wild and dangerous pull on the ball, and Pat Delaney is penalised on the Galway 45-metre line or thereabouts. Many people would wish, I think, to see him back at centre half back, but he received a nasty eye injury some time ago and he's now playing in the forwards. Pat Malone is off the Galway team. And Orion playing at midfield. That was the switch we were telling you it some time ago. As that sails harmlessly wide, and then no Lane. Did he get, perhaps? He was the player nudged earlier on, remember? Let's see what happened there. Was it a case of atoning for the earlier one against Aidan Fogarty? Down went Fogarty, and certainly the crowd thought so. So Aidan Fogarty does not look a well man just now, and in need of attention. Andy Gallagher there, the team coach in the background. That might be worth taking another little look at, if possible at all. Sailed down into the area just in front of the small rectangle, and watch for Lane. Did he? Hard to judge. Pete Finnerty turning on his right-hand side towards Anthony Cunningham, beaten for it by Mick Conklin. Often looks ponderous, but effective as well. That's PJ Martin, deep down into enemy territory, it drops. Jerry McInerney is hesitant. Peter Finnerty is defiant. But it's a stalemate situation, and Pat Delaney attempts to belt it away over towards Eugene Coughlin with the boot. And a stinging challenge on Eugene Coughlin has him limping around, and a sideline ball on the far side. Man down injured, and that is Mick Coughlin. Mick Coughlin injured just down in front of us here. There's something that happened, I'm afraid, once again. Might well have been a late tackle. Certainly one we didn't see. John Miller into the middle to Vincent Tian, 65 minutes out from his own goal, up towards Eugene Coughlin. Sylvie Linane swings in it, and it produces a sideline ball. Mick Coughlin still in need of attention. Remember, he's playing at the moment left corner back, and at the moment Anthony Cunningham is totally unmarked. Getting plenty of attention. I think it certainly was an off-the-ball incident. Joe Cooney back there at centre-back at the moment, playing everywhere. Sweeping it out towards Michael McGrath. McGrath gets inside John Miller. They come looking for a fourth goal. They might well win themselves a free, and it's out, despite the best efforts of Pat Nolan. Comes out to Brendan Keeshan. Vincent Tian judging it. Peter Finnerty trying to get in an effective stopping challenge. Sylvie Linane, there was some holding there. Peter Finnerty against Vincent Tian, and that's going to be a free in for Offaly. Mick Coughlin, incidentally, back on his feet, resuming his place at left corner back, thankfully. A number of little things happening in the second half off the ball. Mark Corrigan outside the 45-metre line. Is that well directed? No. Agonisingly wide of the left-hand post. Produces loud cheers, of course, but from the Galway fans. There's the position. 7 points between the teams, and that's the amount of time remaining. 8.5 minutes. Joachim Kelly goes up there. It comes down, however, to the other midfielder, Ian O'Ryan. And the shot from way out the field. Jim Foy manages to take the sting out of it, but it's Noel Lane who capitalises on the slip by the goalkeeper. And Noel Lane has now contributed a goal and 4 points for Galway, the champions. A great pass from way out the field by Joe Cooney, and Noel Lane capitalising. Ian O'Ryan touches it down, but only as far as Danny Owens, advancing, releasing it to Mark Corrigan, trying to go through Jerry McInerney. Still Mark Corrigan outside the large rectangle. Referee says play away. Sylvie Linane racing with Eugene Coughlin near the end line, and it produces a sideline ball. An Offaly ball, I think, although the fans here wait. Both players contesting that, Mark Corrigan and Sylvie Linane. Referee goes across to adjudicate, and it's going to be a hot ball. Mark Corrigan moves dangerously. It's another goal for Pat Delaney. Pat Delaney has contributed 2 goals in the second half. Well, there's only 5 points in it now. We were saying you might fancy Offaly in a tight finish. 29 minutes gone. That was whipped in from that ball out on the sideline. Look at the slack marking as Conor Hayes was drawn in, and Delaney had a free chance. So now Offaly have a golden chance themselves, and that's Declan Pilkington putting it wide. They've had so many wides. Offaly have had 11 wides so far, same tally incidentally as Galway. So 5 points the margin. In hurling, it's very little, as you know. 6 minutes remaining. John Commons to puck out. Possession now here vital for Offaly if they're to stay in there. And I'm sure the seeds of doubt now beginning to set in among Galway fans once again, thinking, are Offaly going to do us one more time? Brendan Keeshan towards Eugene Coughlin, but comes down to the waiting Ian O'Ryan. He's productive at midfield. Up it goes. Noel Lane in towards Anthony Cunningham. Brendan Keeshan stops it with the boot, then shovels it across towards Joachim Kelly. Gets it in despite the challenge of Michael McGrath towards Danny Owens. Brendan Linsky is there too. This is Vincent Tian for Offaly. Outnumbered, outgrouped, but fouled by Peter Finnerty, and a free to Offaly. Offaly now in an awful hurry to take the frees quickly as Brendan Linsky ambles away from that situation. And I wonder if this man really has the pace to last 70 minutes. That was Martin Hanami. Down it goes towards Pilkington again, the second half substitute. Not such a good pass inside. Tony Keady is there for Galway, their centre half back out towards Michael McGrath. Vincent Tian, who's really playing well in the forward line in the second half. He's worked tirelessly across towards Mark Corrigan, the other player with real threat. But that's taken neatly from the air by Ian O'Ryan, released to Joe Cooney, battling now around the centre half back position. Up to Anthony Cunningham. Just 3 men in their attack at the moment, and they squander that particular chance. Cunningham against John Miller. Miller has improved somewhat in the second half, and it's time for Galway to make another change. Pierce Piggott is coming into the team. Pierce Piggott, who played in the 1986 All-Ireland final against Galway, against Cork rather. Piggott is in, and Brendan Linsky's going off. So Pierce Piggott right in the thick of the action, just after getting married, by the way, same as Jerry McInerney, I believe. Martin Naughton has other things on his mind, such as another score here. And he's found the target. Martin Naughton has now got a goal and 5 points. So 6 points the difference once more. Michael Michael McGrath racing for possession, beaten for it by Martin Hannamy, whipping it downfield towards Declan Pilkington. Good racing possession here taken by Sylvain Linane, took it in his stride, can't get a clear shot away however. Tony Keaty is there to augment that particular defender. Keaty, what another good run through, but he takes a swipe and the referee holds up the play, and in any case the referee says that Keaty over-travelled, but more than the 4 steps permitted. With the ball in his hands, that is. Watch it once again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, he had it up on the stick, and the second time taken up on the hand in any case. Just 2.5 minutes remaining. Martin Hannamy takes it quickly. 3:17 to 3:11. Vincent Tehan trying to lob it in for another goal situation, and it goes wide. It goes wide. Joachim Kelly was in there breathing down the goalkeeper's neck, I think. Pat Delaney limps away, having scored 2 goals in a remarkable second half. The Galway fans then, once again, make themselves heard at Croke Park. Pick up by Anthony Cunningham, having discarded the black helmet, searchingly into the centre to Éanna Ryan, neatly taken, driven towards Noel Lane, back in by Cunningham. Galway persist, it breaks out to Michael McGrath. Here he is, and it's over the bar. How did he find the target from such an acute position? Michael McGrath has scored 3 points. It's been a very impressive Galway forward line this afternoon. So, just about a minute remaining. Touched on by Joachim Kelly. Offaly continuing to battle, despite the situation they're in and have been in throughout the second half. One wonders what might have happened if those 2 Pat Delaney goals had come a great deal earlier in the half. Martin Nocton. Taken easily by Mick Coughlin. Down towards his brother Eugene Coughlin, who's been well beaten by Tony Keaty. Half hooped, so it reaches Brendan Keeshan of Offaly. Downfield towards Pat Delaney, who's limping at the moment and doesn't seem fit to continue. But Offaly, I think, have used up all of their 3 substitutes, as indeed they have, so he has to stay on the field. So 7 points between the teams as PJ Martin takes the sideline cut. Touchdown to Joachim Kelly. They come raiding once again, Offaly. Éanna Ryan holds, the referee's whistle sounds, and Galway, the All-Ireland champions, are through to another All-Ireland final. The Westerners finally subdue the Leinster champions, Offaly. For most of the time they were leading handsomely, and then you began to have a doubt or two when there was just 5 points between them, but at the end it's 3:18 to 3:11, and this team of rich talent, they have on occasion stuttered and stumbled in defence, but in the end they well and truly got through for their 4th successive All-Ireland final, remarkably so. The champions no doubt will be very pleased to have tamed the challenge presented by Offaly, who foiled their attempt for a 2 in a row, you remember, in 1981, and have beat them again in 1985. Peter Finnerty, I'm sure, is delighted that he came back for the All-Ireland semi-final.
So then, as Peter Finnerty makes his way off jerseyless, Galway are into the All-Ireland final. Joe Connolly punched the air with delight at the end of that one.
Well, I'll find myself to a nice smile. It's been a long time coming that for Galway, like, because the rivalry between Galway and Offaly is 2 new teams, and they're sort of vying with each other for the top spot, like. But I think that without any bitterness or anything against Offaly, like, it's good for Galway to beat them, like, because God knows they put the kibosh on us a few times, like, and it's badly needed that, like, you know. And I could imagine
They've cost Galway a couple of All-Irelands.
well, they have, you know, they have one or two anyway, like, but I think the crowd at the wedding really on their knees that made the difference, you know.
Johnny Clifford, Offaly this year, I thought, were more brave than skillful all through the championship and in the league as well when they lost the final to Tipperary. They tried very, very hard this year, but I think there was a little bit of difference in class.
Certainly, Michael, they tried hard without ever looking like winning realistically. I think the game went 5 minutes before half-time. Galway lost their way for a while in the second half, but there was never any doubt.
Offaly did show one quality, mind you, that they've showed again and again, and that's it. They're never beaten, and there were times in that game looked well and truly dead. But we were keeping our fingers crossed. Galway people were keeping their fingers crossed towards the end.
Well, surrounded by Galway people here, you were a bit worried, but realistically, I don't think Offaly were ever going to win. They came within 5 points. Galway went away again, got another 2 or 3. Impressive enough out of Galway. I would question their full back line today. Thought a bit open. I think Connor could get a bit more fit than he is. Sylvie done a few things today that he normally wouldn't do, hitting the ball out over the line, but I'm sure they'll improve with training.
Mind you, there were some good individual performances by the Galway side.
Oh, certainly. Nocton left half forward, I thought was absolutely brilliant. Got some great scores, carried the ball when they needed it. Who else? All the forwards played well.
We talked about Peter Finnerty and Jerry McInerney before the game. Well, they certainly played their part today for Galway.
Certainly played their part. They didn't leave them down. They weren't as spectacular as they normally would be. Pat Delaney at centre forward, I thought, even though he got 2 goals, and who am I to quibble with a guy who got 2 goals, but it didn't work for Offaly. In my view, a forward's job is to get scores, not to be minding the back. Same with Eugene Coughlin at full forward, done absolutely nothing.
But really, Joe Connolly, the damage was really done against Offaly in those 4 minutes in towards the end of the first half, that put 7 points between them, and they were the 7 points that were between them at the end.
That's right, and in the second half, Offaly came back very strongly, as we expect them to do, but I think the Galway selectors, putting Ian Ryan, who played a great game after going to centre field, and Joe Cooney, 2 fresh legs and 2 good hurlers centre field. I think that sagged or cured a sagging midfield, and I think they turned the ball in towards the forward line time and time again in the last 20 minutes. I certainly think there's credit to the selectors for that.
And a word about Noel Lane as well, perhaps the veteran of the Galway team with Sylvie, and my goodness, he put up a great display.
He was brilliant, Noel, and there's no man deserves it. His heart and soul is Galway hurling, and after being beaten as captain in '85, he was devastated for months after it. And it's a full credit and fair play to him for having scored like 1-3 or 1-4 as he did, which was more credit to him. He played a great game.
Well, so then, Joe Connolly and Johnny Clifford, there we must leave it. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. So as we say goodbye from what's been a very, very long day at Croke Park for us, we leave you with an invitation to join us again tonight on the Sunday game, 10:25 on RTE2, when we'll have highlights of both of the semi-finals, Galway versus Offaly, Antrim and Tipperary, and a look at the minor match as well. But from all of us at Croke Park here for this evening, bye-bye to you.